Hello, so the Battlefield 1 Easter egg has been solved. This is the one that involves the headphones and the Morse code stations. And just to show you that I have completed this Easter egg, here you can see the dog tag and I can equip it. Now this video isn't really a guide to unlocking this Easter egg, there are already guides out there. The one that I used was Jack Fragg's. Now there are a couple of things missing in Jack Fragg's guide which I'm going to cover in this demonstration of how it works. But basically this is just to prove that you can unlock the Easter egg using Jack Fragg's method. Now the first thing that Jack recommends is that you use Suez to find the headphones and to use the Morse code stations. This is actually a really good idea. It's a good map to do it on, all the locations for the headphones are known and there's not really much background noise. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the locations where these headphones can be. So going from the British end, the first one is down here on this little dock. So by those barrels there can be one of the headphones. The next place is just down the railway tracks and you'll see that there's some carts with artillery on them. Now I never found the actual headphones on here so I can't tell you exactly where it is, but if you jump up on here it's supposed to be on one of these actual flat parts. So these areas here, that's where the headphones are supposed to be, not on the wooden one at the back. Now one thing I should say as we're going along is that if the sandstorm is blowing when you come on this server, leave it and go and find another empty server because the sandstorm will ruin the recording you get of the Morse code. It gives a lot of background noise and makes it much harder to process later on. That's something I found out to my cost with the first couple of recordings, but you'll see that in a moment. The third place the headphones can be is in the town in between these two trees in the little bazaar area. Right, another tip for joining this server is if you join and you're not on the British team, leave the server as well. That usually means that somebody has already been on that server, it's not a fresh brand new server. You might not find any headphones. The fourth place to find these headphones is here by these barrels and the sack. It's usually in the corner if you find it there. Now this is all based on that image I showed earlier that comes from the site that Jack Fragg's links. So these are pretty easy to find. I'm just showing you this so you can see them in a bit of context. So the final point is over here and it's near the big radio mast, so that's a quite easy point of reference. This one did take me a while to find because all the walls look the same, but in this little group here near the radio mast you'll see this furthest away section and by the wall you'll find the headphones. So the headphones spawn right here. This fifth location is actually really close to the Morse code station, so all you need to do is run across the map a bit and you'll find that there's the little road, then there's this building that's been destroyed here, and at the front of this you'll find the Morse code station. Right, so let's have a look at this while I'm actually trying to do the Easter egg. So go down to the first point and lucky enough the headphones are here. You just pick them up and then ride over to that Morse code station. Now unfortunately when I get there, and as you can see the actual sandstorm is blowing, and this I didn't realise was a bad thing, but when you approach the Morse code station it will start playing the Morse code message. This is where you need to record it either with something like Shadow Play, or you can record it with Audacity or any audio recorder. I know some people used to record the old ones on their mobile phones. Now whichever way you choose to record it, and what I did was record it with Shadow Play, then put it into my video editing software, save it out as just an audio file and copy it into Audacity. So this is what you see here. This is the Audacity file, and all I've done is then do the steps that Jack Fragg's recommends. So turn it into a spectrum view, turn it into mono, although that doesn't seem to do anything, and then normalize it. Now you can see the tall peaks that represent the noises, but at the base of the peaks you can see horizontal lines. You've got long horizontal lines that represent the dashes, short ones which represent the dots. All you do is then with Notepad open, copy those into Notepad. Now later on I discovered that I could make it look like this. This isn't normalized, this is just with the spectrum view on, and I found this easier to read. I'll zoom in so you can actually see the dots and the dashes how they are represented with short little lines and longer lines. But if you follow Jack's method to the letter, then what you get is these white lines on a dark red background. If you look at the notepad, you'll see that I've also got slashes on there. Those represent the end of words, so whenever there's a gap in the Morse code, you put the slash in so that the decoding software we're going to use now will recognise that the word has ended. Now this first message is just a straight Morse code translation, so you put the Morse code you get into the translation software, and in my case it says Castello Isle Adriatic. You then go to the website that Jack links, and that tells you where that location is. And in my case it tells me that Castello Isle Adriatic is on the small island Baiae on Empire's Edge, and it's on one of these rocks which is circled with a red circle. So all I have to do now is go to the map and find it. So I'll load into the map on an empty server, get into a boat, head towards E. Now I guess one of the slightly disappointing aspects to this Easter egg is that it can all be done on empty servers. Now that does make it easier to do, but it's not very much of a challenge. You know, if you're having to go to these locations on a live game, that might be a bit different. But going to them on an empty server gives you a ton of time to actually find these symbols. Now you're not going to get the same symbol locations that I do. There are 27 different locations and the game gives them to you in a random order. The only thing that stays the same is the symbols that you find. Those will stay in the same order, but the location you need to go to find it is going to be a random selection from that list of 27. Right, so now I have to play the game of Find the Rock, and it's basically just a matter of lining up what looks right. So that looks like the image that I have on my other screen. So now I just have to look around, try and find where this symbol is. These symbols are not very big, and you have to be kind of in the right place to see them. When you are lined up on it, you'll get a sound effect to tell you that you've seen it. Once you've heard that noise, you can then move on to the next stage of the puzzle. And that again is going to an empty Suez server, finding a set of headphones, picking them up. You then travel over to the Morse code station, stand in front of it with the headphones, and it will play a different series of Morse, and the lights will be a different colour. Record that, and then you're on to the next stage of decoding Morse code. The second set of Morse that you decode will look like gibberish. All you have to do is turn it around. And here you can see that minor mistakes in your writing down of the Morse don't really matter. Mine comes out as Pillow Magar Jifar when it should be Pillow Mazar Jifar. But you can still understand it, so you can move on to the next stage. The website tells me that Pillow Mazar Jifar is by the burning tanks between C and D. It's down here by these trees, and it's on the rock behind the little tree. So you can tell that from the picture you get and the description. They're pretty good, so it's not usually that hard to find. However, finding things on the rocks is always a problem to me, because so I do end up crawling around this one for a while trying to find out where it is. So if in doubt, when you're struggling to find something, go prone or crouch to get to the right level to see what you're actually looking for. I think it's on this side of the rock from the picture, but it's actually on the right hand side of the rock close to the wooden veranda. But eventually I find it, and then once I've got the symbol, heard the noise, you then move on to the next stage. So it's back to an empty Suez server, headphones, Morse code station, this time with blue lights, record the Morse code and move on to the next decryption phase. This is a very repetitive Easter egg. In fact, it's probably the most boring Easter egg that I've ever had to do in Battlefield. It takes a long time and it's not very interesting. And all this for a dog tag with a skull on it. Now we're onto the section where the Morse code translation gives you a string of letters that you then need to decode. So following Jack's guide, go to the site, use the right decoder, and then that will give you the answer you need. So for your third set of MCOMs, it's the @bash decoder, and that gets me Church Ruin Amiens as the result. The website tells me that this is in the ruined church near the German spawn. So I find the right church, line up the archways with the buildings behind, that lets me find the right pillar, crawl up to it, and then I find my symbol, and that lets me go on to the next stage. And I think at this point I was 2 or 2.5 hours into trying to do this Easter egg. Right, so I've heard the noise, back to an empty Suez server, find the headphones, go to the Morse code station. This time it lights up with little green eyes, and I record the message. Now we repeat the decoding process, but this time using the Caesarean shift cipher with an N value of 19, and that then gives us the result of Canal Cantara vases. Now for some reason I didn't record this one. I'm pretty sure it was in the market area on Suez. Anyway, once we've looked at the symbol, then go back to Suez, use the Morse code station again, that gives us another message, then decode that, and you can see this time I got an error because I made a mistake, but it didn't really matter because this time we're looking at an anagram. So ignore the hash symbol in there, that's what the mistake is. I looked at the text, saw that I've got a V and a W, and then went through the list of locations and found the only one with a V and a W was Panel Water Varennes. The web guide tells me to go to Argonne Forest and find this little water pressure symbol that's on the wall. Now, you can't get close enough to it with the boxes in the way, so for some of these you are going to have to do a bit of destruction. I stood here for a while trying to get it to make the noise and it wouldn't, but then I basically try and destroy the boxes using the pistol in the end to basically blow them apart so I could then crouch on the remains and get close enough to get the symbol and the noise. Now as far as I'm aware, the symbols themselves are indestructible, so you can use grenades and things to do this destruction if you'd want to do it faster. But there we go, there's the symbol that I need for the next section. And by now you know what that means. Suez empty server, find the headphones, go and record the Morse code. Then translate the Morse code, go to the guide and see what cipher you need to decode it. The result you get from the Morse code translation is a string of T's and E's. What you need is a Baconian cipher, and that reads in A's and B's. So I used Notepad and did a quick find and replace to turn my T's and E's into A's and B's. Then put that into the Baconian cipher, and that gave me a meaningless string of letters. That meaningless string of letters then has to go into the @bash cipher, and the result I got was Longueville Statue Amiens. So it doesn't take a genius to work out that this is the statue at Amiens. It also doesn't take a genius to work out that I discovered I had gas grenades equipped, not normal grenades. So use an anti-tank grenade to blow up the vegetation because you can't see the symbol with the bushes there. Destroying the wall doesn't destroy the symbol. So then you have to go prone and try and work out where this little symbol is on this wall, because now I've destroyed it, it doesn't match the picture. But it's over here in the corner facing the building. And if you get close enough to it, you can see that it says Edward. Right, so now back to bloody Suez again, get some headphones, go to the Morse code station and record it. By this time I'm about 4 hours into this thing. Right, so this time we need a Vignere cipher to decrypt this message, and we use Edward as the key, and that gives us Luggage Basement Varennes. Look at the guide and that tells us that we have to be underground at E on Amiens. And it's at this pillar here. Now there's some shelves in the way, so I can't get close to the pillar to read the symbol, so again got to do a bit of destruction. Once all the junk's out of the way, I can go prone and have a look for the symbol, which is just there. And although it's very dark on the recording, it actually says George. So back to Suez, headphones, listen to the MCOM, record it, then go and translate it and decode it. So this time it's a Vignere auto key, you put in a key of Z and a passphrase of George, and that gives me Coastal Fortress Adriatic. Now this is actually the symbol that took me the longest to find because it's up there on that balcony. I looked around all over for railings and things in the background of the image that the web guide gave, but didn't look up there. So eventually I found it. Go out here, this is the place that's got these runged ladders that are nailed into the wall rather than being full ladders. The second set as you go round, we've got the hook in the background the same as the image, and on the wall is the symbol. except again it's not a symbol, it's a word, and this time it says London. Thankfully we are almost at an end, so back to Suez, listen to the Morse code, but this time you don't need to record it, you don't need to decode it, and you don't need to do a cipher on it, because at this point everybody's message is the same. It's telling you to go to a windmill on Giant Shadow and look up. Now this is the windmill that's closest to the German spawn. You need then to go all the way to the top of the windmill, out onto the little wooden balcony. Once you're up there, you need to look up and basically start looking for pigeons. From the reports I've read, there's no fixed time in which this will happen. So eventually you will see flocks of pigeons flying around. They'll go from left to right and right to left and swoop around, and basically you've just got to watch them. Now the first flock of pigeons that I got didn't give me the dog tag. It was the second set of pigeons, which basically did exactly the same pattern, but then a pigeon swooped down and gave me the dog tag. So I was standing here waiting for that to happen. What do I think of this Easter egg? Well, compared to the Phantom program, this is pretty dull and boring. It was all done on non-populated servers, and it was basically just a grind. Now admittedly it was probably a bit slower for me because I was recording, but overall this took about 5.5 hours to do. I guess if you were part of the team that was solving all this, then it's quite exciting and fun. I was involved in doing that kind of thing with the old Phantom program in Battlefield 4. But even if you were just doing the Phantom program from a guide, it was still kind of fun to go through all the processes. This one wasn't, it was just dull and grinding. Maybe it's because they haven't got the achievement system built into Battlefield 1, because that was really what the Phantom program ran off. Hopefully this is just the first stage of something bigger. You remember in the Phantom program you started off getting dog tags and small items, and then built up to the Phantom bow. So let's just hope that this is going to be the same, and from small beginnings we're going to get something mighty, because at the moment this was just a bit dull. Anyway, here you can see my pigeons are coming in for the second time, and I'm keeping a close eye on them. I don't know if you've basically just got to keep watching pigeons, and if you do that, that's what triggers the messenger pigeon to come in. But as you can see, that second set of pigeons have pretty much disappeared, and then this messenger pigeon comes in. It will swoop down just over your head. You'll get the same noise you got from when looking at the symbols, and that is this Battlefield 1 Easter egg completed. It is quite a lot of effort to go through for a dog tag, 5.5 hours in my case, to try and unlock this thing, and there's no gameplay at all while you're doing it. You could do it on servers with people on, I suppose, but why would you? It's going to take even longer. So empty servers, just grinding through the process, doing the codes, finding the locations, and then waiting for a pigeon. If you're not a completionist and not bothered by things like the Phantom program from Battlefield 4, just ignore it. It's a bit of a ball ache to get a dog tag. Maybe it's going to lead to something further on down the line, but you can always come back and do it later if you're really that bothered. If you do want to do this, I don't recommend doing it all in one go. Break it down into sections and keep notes as to what you've already done. I do recommend going and watching Jack Fragg's guide. Use the links he provides because they provide every resource you need to complete this Easter egg. Also check out the guys from BFEE or Battlefield Easter Eggs, because they run a wiki and they run a Discord server that basically goes out and finds all these Easter eggs for us. So big thanks to Jack Frags, big thanks to BFEE, and thanks for watching.